You couldn't go do that now.
Hell no.
Hey, did you watch the Wu-Tang movie, the series?
Yeah. I wrote on the third season. I worked on it. And I worked with Riz on a bunch of stuff. I had helped work on the Dirty episodes. I wrote on a couple of them. So yeah, I not only did I watch it, I worked on it. So yeah.
Real quick, man, because Old Dirty, man, I think he was one of the most unique artists of all time.
I mean, he was undoubtedly. I mean, he was undoubtedly one of the craziest, most charismatic, wildest. He was like a dangerous Bismarck or some shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But you know what's crazy is his confidence. I saw this dude in New Orleans one year, and I forget where we was at, man. I was out there with I think DJ Bobcat. And he said, any rappers out there, I'll bust y'all ass right now. Where the rappers at? And nobody stood up.
Yo, I was there that year, man. He was so crazy. We did this electric showcase, and man, he tore that motherfucker down. But he came out and they had a mirror on the side of the stage and just started looking at himself and talking, rapping to himself in the mirror like he was like, I can't, like Elvis Presley. I can't even explain it. And he was like, it was like there was like 2,000 people, 1,500 people there. And he did a performance in a mirror for like one song for himself. Like he didn't even pay attention. He was so fucking wild. I love the dude, man. A-Son Unique. I miss him a lot. He was it was hard to see how it all went down, like
he was
rough to watch.
He was good people. I had the pleasure of fucking with Dirt a lot when I went to New York. Wu-Tang, for some reason, we gravitated to each other.
It's real recognized real. That's why.
They even put you in a series. Ada's in the series. I called him one night. I was watching it, and I said, they got the homie Ada in there.
Yeah, I was real cool, especially with Method and Dirt. And then with Raekwon, I was real cool with them. And so, like I said, they flew me out to New York to be in the All Can It Be So Simple video.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. You're in the video. It's crazy. I forgot about that.
And then I did a song with Dirt with the remix for Shimmy Shimmy, me and E40.
Yeah.
He was a cool cat. He was in Compton for a while too, stomping around, just fucking around. Yeah, Dirt was everywhere, man.
He was everywhere.
Man.
Yeah, he was.
I could too, because he'll end up anywhere. You never know where he'll show up. He was a wild.
He was a wild.
I mean, he was the wildest. He's a wild motherfucker. Like,
actually, one of the homies from Compton, man, told me he was messing with his sister. He told me, he said, man, old dirty bastard been over our house messing with my son. I thought he was
doing in Compton. He was doing something, but he was stomping around the streets for a minute, man. But he was one of those, like I said, he was just accepted by motherfuckers because motherfuckers knew how serious and passionate he was about his shit. And
now, when he was putting that record together,
once you became his friend and cool with him, shit.
Oh man, he was the best. I mean, I was in the Bay Area with them, and I knew 40 a little, and we bumped into 40 and them, and that's how him and 40 ended up on that record because they had the same birthday. So they started talking, and they was like, something came up, and it was like, yo, we got the same born day. And then they started calling each other twin, and we were like really cool with 40 because of that. It was like that's an odd pair, those two. You know what I mean? Like,
I think we was all in Oakland for something in the Bay they was doing, and we just all happened to end up at the same spot, and we all went to Studio Tones that night. Me, 40, and Dirt. And that's when we came up with the remix, and they liked it so good that they flew us all back to New York to do the video.
Yeah. I
shot the video.
Yeah, I was at the video shoot. I came by and all that. That's so crazy. Yeah, man. He I worked on this documentary that's on Hulu now called Tailor Two Dirties. I was a producer on it with the family. And like, I do a lot of stuff for his family still. Like, I helped him find checks here and there, and his wife Shaquita, she had came to me maybe 8 years ago and was like, I got all this old footage of Dirty. Do you think we could do something with it? And from there, we kicked it around for a few years with Messiah, who runs the foundation, and we ended up hooking up with Sam Pollard and Jason, and we got the doc done, and we made it with Post Film. So like from her just calling me one day with this idea, it actually all happened. I gotta take my hat off to her. She really was like, I think I got something, and she did. It was super cool to see it, man, come together. And
That's
Dirty was
dope.
like, I, I um I loved him, man. Ason was, like a lot of people, I would say this, most people's not built for fame and fortune, right? Like, and if
Mm-hmm.
you grow up in group homes and you're institutionalized and you might have some bipolar issues, substance abuse problems, et cetera, you give someone everything in the whole world that they wanted. It's very hard for people to handle that well. Or most people aren't Ice-T, you know what I mean? Like Ice could get all that and he could handle it. Most people are not that person, and they lose perspective, and that's what happened to Dirty. It's very sad, but it's also like it's a classic cautionary tale. You got to really watch what happens when you get
Mm-hmm.
everything you wish for, because when you get everything you wish for, it comes with a lot of shit attached. It's like, and he just wasn't, he wasn't prepared for it all, and it just all went the wrong way, which is very sad to see. I saw him when he came out of prison, and Dame Dash had signed him, and Dame had, I knew Dame back then. I still know Dame, but he was like, come and check out your man, and it was really sad, man. It was really sad to see he was spent. It was done. The being in prison and the psych ward in prison really had taken a toll on the brother. He wasn't the same human being, and it was sad to see. And I remain friends with RZA and a lot of those guys because I always stood by Dirty through thick and thin. He was worth it. And he was, I remember he got shot when I worked with him. Um, he got shot in Brooklyn. He jumped
Mm-hmm.
through a window another time. I mean, we did this show in LA, and I want to say it was at the Palladium, but it wasn't Palladium. It was the spot on Vine right by Capitol, whatever that is, that club right there. And we did the show for, it was Rap Pages had like a seminar. And he killed it. It was right when the record came out, right when the single came out. He just bodied it, just destroyed it. But he was performing, and it was like the second or third to last song, and these dudes in the front was he had a bottle, and they was all hanging out. They was like in front of the crowd, and it was apparently Grape Street Crips. We didn't know that, but he just took his bottle and he handed it to a dude that he drank from the audience. He gave it back to him, and so after the show, like they literally cut his sound off. He jumped off the stage and walked through the audience and was still performing. And we went outside with all these dudes, and they like became our friends, and they were all these Grape Street Crip dudes who we didn't know at the time. We didn't know what they were, but they ended up always fucking with him when he came out here because we had met them at that show. And I was like, this motherfucker could go anywhere and meet motherfuckers and be good. It was bugged out. And they was like, they're not the people you expect to be old Dirty Bastard fans, but they was his friends and his fans. It was bugged out. Like
I think
we used to come out here a lot. Like I knew them dudes, the Operation from the Bottom dudes too, and they used to rock with Brand Nubian a lot. So we would come out here and meet dudes all the time. And it's funny how like people come out from New York and they'd have problems, but we would come out to New York, to LA, and we would always be good because we always, respected everyone's boundaries where everyone's from, and you just got to know how to move wherever you go. Like
Yes,
Brand
yes.
Nubians is very good at doing that. They always made friends wherever they went.
I think that's one thing about LA, man. That, the sets usually embrace cats that come out here and act cool.
Makes
What
sense.
I never,
I mean, look,
what I
you
never
you can step
understood.
in shit anywhere if you ain't the right size. You could step into bullshit anywhere. But I did this shit my whole life. I never had a problem anywhere. You know.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
I think if you come, I think what'll happen though with a lot of these young cats, they'll meet some dudes from the hood, and they wind up wanting to become Crips and Bloods. I never understood it because I always say you can just be yourself, and they go fuck with you. Just be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't
I
got
mean,
it.
you
That's
got
where they
you
mess
got
up at.
guys. I mean, you got guys who got to like check in when they come here, and we all know. Like, look, man, I grew up with like crazy Puerto Rican motherfuckers, and you know who to let in and who not to. You got to give dudes a Heisman. You can't let dudes get in real close because gangsters are gonna do gangster shit, and if they can do some gangster shit to you, they're gonna do gangster shit to you.
That's
You just gotta have to.
what
You
I
know,
say all the time. If a nigga can get close and fuck you, he gonna fuck you if he think he can
yeah.
get away with it. So just got to watch your element.
That's
I
it.
bet
You
you
got
that
to
was.
know, and if you're smart, you got the spidey sense. You just know.
Hell
You
yeah, I
just
bet that
can't.
was hell. How was it trying to mix that album?
Dude, mixing Old Dirty Bastard album was a nightmare because RZA had told me, he told me this years later, like, so I don't know if you guys noticed, he had a flood in his house and he lost Cuban Links and he lost Liquid Swords, the whole albums. So the
Damn.
flood destroyed all his equipment. So he had a 2-inch machine in the house, he had all his records, all his shit. So he lost everything. So he had to go and make those records while Dirty's records waiting to get mixed. So he doesn't show up. So I got to figure out how to mix a record myself. And I'm an engineer to an extent. Like, I know how to engineer and I know a lot of shit. But man, the way he does shit is not the way a normal person does shit. He got RZA
Exactly.
signs. I ain't got the manual. I don't have the RZA God body manual to mix his records. So it was very difficult. And most difficult of all was mixing Brooklyn Zoo, which True Master did, but True Master was nowhere to be found. And so I mixed that shit 3 fucking times and I couldn't get it right. It just ain't sound right. I could not get the motherfucker right. And the fourth time, I was like, you know what, man? I'm gonna just fucking put a kick and a snare in the shit because I can't make the drums sound good. They sound like shit. So I just took a break record and I chopped that shit up and put it in there. Um, it's the only thing I did on the record, really, and I only did it because I was failing over and over again, and I was like, I got to get this fucking record done. So it worked, and it made sense. And when we went to master the album, I told RZA, I put a kick and snare in there. He looked at me like, whatever. Like, it didn't make no sense. He didn't care. But when I hear that record, I still hear the kick and snare in there. It's a pretty famous break record. And you can hear the snare every time you hear it if you know what record it is. But it was hard, man. I mean, look, they gave me like, the album has like 11, 12 songs. Like, I think it came to me with like 8 songs done, vocals done, and getting him to finish the rest of the shit and mixing the shit was, he got shot, he got arrested, he got thrown out of every nightclub in New York. He showed up on Dust a few times. Like, he was just fucking a wild man. So, we got
Definitely.
it done though, man. We got it done. It was, one of, like, in my career, I've done a bunch of shit, but like, that's the only time someone handed me lightning in a bottle. And it was like, they gave me the football in the red zone. They say, yo, score that fucking touchdown. Take that motherfucker. Get it done. Walk these dogs. And because in my head, I kind of knew it might never happen again. Like, you got to catch that moment, like, be in the moment, get it. And
Oh, definitely.
I never had that battery on my back before when I was as an A&R guy, and I managed to get it done against a lot of people told me I signed the wrong motherfucker. They were like, "You signed Dirty. Why ain't you sign Method Man?" But I don't know, man. Old Dirty Bastard. His presence spoke to me, and when I met him, I was like, "This guy's a genius." Look, I love the Bismarckies, the Grand Poobahs, the Snoop Dogs, even the Ludacrises. I like those characters, right? They're like
Right.
characters. And Old Dirty Bastard was a character to me, right? So I was like, this could be one of the great things I do. And I was lucky enough that I was right. And I was lucky enough, this is the thing I said, I was the luckiest enough that RZA trusted me. So I met RZA and we bonded, and he trusted me to walk those dogs because he could have took that shit anywhere, right? But he trusted me with that gem, and so that's a big honor. So you can't fuck that up. When RZA trusts you with one of his own family, his cousin, you got to rise to the occasion. If you don't, what are you worth in this world, right? So that's one of them times when I had to do what I had to do. I had to prove myself, and I did.